and get started on all this. Let's see if I can make it happen. All right, button is pushed. We're going live. We are. Okay. Hello, audience. Do we have an audience? I don't even know if we have an audience. Oh, okay. 8 viewers. All right. Well, hi, 8 viewers. Oh, and I didn't set this up so I should be monitoring the chat and all that good stuff, right? In case people have anything they want to say. That's the whole point here is I want to hear what people have to say. Okay, so this is kind of a different conversation I was hoping to have because I've been doing a little assessment of my YouTube channel. You know, we college professors, we have to do this periodically when we start any project. Is you get going, you let it go a month or so, then you stop and you say, okay, are we meeting our goals? And I feel like, no, I'm not. So what I was hoping for is to get advice from my colleagues here, Fedor and Jackson. And also we'll see if anybody in the chat wants to say anything, which would be kind of nice, but we'll see. Okay, so let me start in a sort of formal way, and then we'll just go all out and everybody can say whatever they want. So let's see, I'm going to share a screen here. So I've actually put some thought into this, and you are unable to connect to Zoom. Please try, oh, what? Okay. I'm getting some funky business here. Let's see. Maybe it's, so do you see that screen where it says channel goals? You do, okay. I'm just getting error messages all over the place, but I'll ignore them. Okay, so here's how it started off. Is, you know, I've been sort of puttering around with YouTube for a couple of years now and not doing much with it, just occasionally throwing up something and seeing what happens. And then over the Christmas break, I decided, hey, well, let's do something a little more consistent. And so I set up some goals for myself. So there they are. There's my channel goals. They're pretty simple. I didn't want to get ambitious because I didn't know how this is going to go. So the first goal is let's just get a conversation going. Let's attract a growing audience of science-focused people. So people who want to talk about science and not bash creationists or politics or things like that. So I set up some videos, weekly videos, where I was just, one was bashing on creationists or other anti-science people, but the other one is, I thought I'd just talk about Evo Devo. The other goal is learning basic video presentation skills. Look, old man wants to learn something new. And the only way to do that is to sit down and just do it. So start making more videos. And the third is let's just have a conversation about development, evolution, and spiders and other good things, because I'm in a small rural university. I am the only developmental biologist here. It's kind of weird. And so, you know, the tragic thing is I was hired to teach developmental biology, and then we lost some faculty and we've been juggling things around, and I've ended up being, you know, kind of core faculty teaching cell biology and genetics and our intro course and that. I have not taught developmental biology in years. I haven't taught evolution in years. It's just kind of getting on my nerves. So anyway, I thought, hey, let's just create an audience that we can talk about it. So those were my goals. How did things turn out? Well, this is our problem. First big problem is my audience is shrinking. Okay, channel subscriptions have been slowly going up. very slowly. But before I started this project, I was getting 800 to 1,000 viewers per video, which I felt like was perfectly fine. I'd like to incrementally grow that. That's kind of the goal. Started doing it every week, and now I get like 300 to 400 views per video. Whoops. That's kind of not what I expected. I know if we'd stayed stable, I would say, hey, we're doing okay. But no, doing that little dive, that's not so good. I can say that I think I feel like my skills are slowly improving at this. They're not great. But you know, some of the top YouTubers are really, really good at this stuff. They're great at editing. They're good at lighting. No, forget it. I'm not. I'm gonna be the old professor chatting on the internet. And then the other thing, and I think this might be one of the things that's affecting it, is the conversations I have are very one-sided. It's me lecturing at an audience, getting a little feedback in the chat, but not at all a conversation, right? So I got to think of ways to add interactivity more to this. So look here, we got 3 people here talking to one another. That's a good start. So that's kind of where I am at, and what I am concerned about is what I want to do is get back on track, start growing that audience again. Then I also want to, you know, just this one, number 2, I'm fine with. Gradually getting better is okay. And then I have to figure out a way to do this so it's less me lecturing and more me discussing. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking you guys to give me advice. So Fedor and Jackson have been doing this longer than I have and are better at it. So they can tell me things. I put out a general invitation to some other people. So if any of them show up, that would be great. And of course, let's listen to those human beings out there in the audience and see what they have to say. So go ahead. Tell me what I'm doing wrong and tell me how to fix everything.
Okay, but me? So let's start, or would you, Jackson?
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because my approach to this has been, and I got some good tips from this in the start from what's his name, a YouTuber, I forgot the name of, but a really good YouTuber that gives advice on how to grow your YouTube channel, and it's not one of those, you know, slick, cheesy guys. He's actually very down to earth and basic. And I forgot his name. It comes back to me. But anyway, he said something very important to me while I was just starting. He said, you know, just the most important thing is to follow your passion and find your own style, because if you try to be someone else, or to try to be, you know, if you try to do something that you think might be more popular, then you're just wearing yourself down and you're losing your motivation. You know, you should just follow your passion, and then that enthusiasm will kind of seep through into your art or your creations. So that is, and it will keep your motivation intact. So you don't simply wear yourself down. So the most important thing is, most fundamental thing is just to follow your passion and just, you know, never mind the rest. You know, just try to do your utmost on delivering something you can be proud of. And then if that is accepted by an audience, there's always an audience out there. The tricky thing is to be found. And I struggle with it myself, because the YouTube algorithm is all full. Because there are so many people, when they find my channel, they're completely, you know, enthusiastic. Oh, this is so underrated, and why isn't this bigger and everything? because these people are out there, but they're just spread out amongst, all the other bullshit that is promoted by the algorithm instead. So people won't find you. So just there are of course a few things that you should be mindful of in order to grow, some tricks and some well, I wouldn't say tricks, but just some techniques and a certain discipline. But it starts with finding your niche, and it's in being unique, your own unique self, and following your passion. So that is basic. Yeah, that is the foundation, and from there, it can only go forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is very familiar. When I started blogging, that's exactly what I did and actually, when I started blogging, one of the things I consciously did was avoid looking at statistics, because I'm not here to, pander to an audience and get swarms of people following. I just want to talk about stuff I'm interested in. And that worked pretty well. So maybe my problem is that this last month or two, I started looking at the YouTube statistics and trying to see, what do I have to do to overcome the algorithm and get out there. And yeah, it wasn't a great success, as you can see.
No, and yeah, to add to that, because my channel hasn't been growing as much as I'd like, but I know there are very specific reasons for that. And one of those, I actually pinned it on my Twitter profile, is an image where it tries to convey the idea that I'm having too many different topics. Basically, the algorithm hates me because I don't stick to a certain theme. I don't stay within a certain niche. I'm just kind of all over the place. And then the algorithm gets confused about that. So that's one reason. And the other important reason is I don't output content regularly that attracts a lot of people. So if you want to grow, you should kind of be really regular. Like, it doesn't have to be every week, but it may be every month, almost at the same day.
Yeah.
And then if you keep on doing that, the algorithm picks up on that, especially if every time you output something, because that's the third reason. It has to kind of generate the same spike every time you output something, spike, and then regular interval, another spike, etc. Because I've experienced when I had the time and energy to do that, then all of a sudden I got a huge surge on my channel. So there's something there. But the trick is to find content that attracts those spikes. Because if you make one video and that, a lot of people want to watch that, and then you make another video, even though you did it regularly, you waited a regular time interval, but that doesn't quite, it kind of dumps. Then it also dumps in your statistics. So it's, yeah, that is for at least as far as I know. But I think maybe Jackson Reed has more experience with that because he's got a lot more content than I do.
Oh, I agree with you. I've heard similar things about the publishing regularly. Although I am an irregular publisher. Over the course of like 3 months last year, I think I put out a single video per month. That's and yeah, my subscriber is kind of incrementally growing, and I was actually just looking back at some of the older videos, and they've gotten more views now than I had remembered them having. But yeah, I'm kind of like you in that however many people I get watching a video, if it's a bunch, that's cool. If not, okay, because ultimately I'm really doing the research in these videos. This is stuff usually that interests me. Although sometimes someone will suggest a video, and then I'll do that video. But by and large, I usually do videos just because I want to know more about this subject. And if you guys watch it too, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, I've heard these same tips, and that's why I tried, let's put out one every Sunday and one every Wednesday, and it didn't help. But again, this may be just crappy content. I could see if you just put out bad stuff every week, that's not going to get you to take off.
You have to put out 5-minute clips every couple of days,
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen some other YouTubers doing that, where they got their long thing, and then they break it up into little
Mhm.
snippets that they post later on.
There's a channel I watch. His name is Sean, and he publishes like once a month or once every couple of months, but his videos get huge numbers of views, even though he might make like a 2-hour video, but it gets
Yes.
hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah,
It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, and it uses very few visuals. It's just him talking with the same background, and which is interesting because I put so much energy into visualizing everything, and it's because that's the only way I can do it. I mean, I just cannot just start talking against with that to a background that doesn't compute with my head. So I have to do it my way. But a lot of people, they just show a few slides and you're just talking blah blah blah, from the top of their head, which I cannot do. Well, not in a structured way in any case. So and they just surge and they pass me by like no, there's leave me behind, like there's no goodbye. Yeah, so that's what you can
I
do.
agree with you, because a lot of times in my videos I'm talking about taxonomy and things like that, and you have to show trees to help people visualize what it is you're referring to. Another thing that I've heard helps sort of generate views on your channel is putting yourself in your thumbnail. That's one thing I've heard. Yeah, if you put your picture of yourself in your thumbnail, then people will see that and recognize, oh hey, that's PZ's video. Oh hey, that's Frenatopian's video, and then they'll go watch that. So that's one thing I've heard.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me though.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh. Well, that was a piece of advice in addition to the publish regularly thing, but it's like, hey, YouTube's not my job. I know it is a job for a lot of people, and that's why they can do the regular videos. But
it's true though, because most people, the average person, they respond to emotions, and if you show a picture of just and people, they bond with. So when they see a picture of someone familiar or something that looks sympathetic or that expresses an emotion that invokes an emotion into themselves, then they will, because people are social animals. So the bonding with an audience and emotions play a huge role. So that of course it's true that thumbnails, faces in thumbnails, they are very effective for some people.
I've been doing a little bit of that too. Again, it's I don't know. There's all these things that I just don't understand about what catches people's attention, because I would watch a video that had a spider in the thumbnail.
You should have a picture of be like spider feeding, and then be like, in the thumbnail.
Oh, that's my latest video.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Or you could use a cartoon self maybe of yourself instead, so people will start recognizing the cartoon self.
Yeah.
I actually have really bad feelings about cartoons, and because the skeptic atheist movement for so long was infested with, oh man, these people with the cartoon avatars and the animated, and just.
Oh, but you were Apologia cartoon.
Yeah, Apologia is the exception. Okay, but lots of other people are just, oh no way.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they were, and what I thought was kind of funny about that was they were all sort of variations on the same. They all had like the little suit, and they were all just kind of the same character. But
and they're all saying the same thing: feminism is cancer, and
yeah. But it's also a very common way to do that. It's not just the crazy or the
right,
the deplorable section of YouTube. It's also very normal, average, decent people do the same thing. But it's just unfortunate that they're also using that method.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I see. I'm in a couple of different groups on Twitter with the YouTubers, and they're always talking about, well, what's the best way to to do this, and how do you guys do this and this, and I used to say, I'm like, okay, well, that's all. If you're really into like animating, or you've got a lot of technology stuff, you got a whole studio for recording your videos and stuff. I'm just at my mic, I just sit at my computer, record, and then do a little slideshow, and that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, simple is good. I
Yeah.
kind of feel that way. But as you know, that one of the problems there is, as I mentioned, is the issue of interactivity, because yeah, I could easily just throw up PowerPoints and just churn along, and
Yeah.
Well, Dan at Dan Cardinale at Creation Myths, that's what he does, and I kind of like his presentation style also.
yeah, I could easily just switch to just doing that. So I just feel like that wouldn't help with my developing better presentation skills or the interactivity. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Although I do really like the what you were doing with the salamander paper, for instance, where you put it up and you talk and you discussed it, and you said, okay, well, what are your questions about the paper?
Yeah.
That was highly interactive.
Yeah, and I kind of think that might be one direction to take, is just forget the first part where I just lecture at you and say, okay, announce ahead of time, this is a paper, we're going to discuss this on such and such a date, and just
Go read the paper.
yeah, here's a link to the paper. We'll discuss it informally. I mean, I'll be prepared so I can talk about this stuff. So like right now, what I was kind of waiting on, the next paper was going to be a Nipam Patel paper on development and evolution of color patterns.
Ooh.
Which is so basic and so cool, and it's kind of the kind of thing I would like to do with spiders.
Yeah, I mentioned those two in the video. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And then the other one is another Nipam Patel paper, which would get into another interest of mine, which is developmental neuroscience. He did a really cool paper that was sort of a phylogenetic analysis of nervous systems in invertebrates.
Oh, I was just looking earlier at a paper on the Porcellanidae, the porcelain crabs, and how they are not actually crabs; they're squat lobsters who look like crabs.
Oh yeah,
carcinization.
Yeah, and so there's a whole paper that talks about the internal morphology that had to change as a result of putting your pleon like directly under the body and making your carapace extra long and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I wanted to do a video on that because it kind of is a way to elucidate the difference, or the difference that some people use and some scientists use between convergent and parallel evolution, which you probably all both are familiar with, but and there's some disagreement on whether you can actually distinguish those two things. But
there's this like, okay,
I would call carcinization, I would call that parallel evolution, because the basic, the foundation is so similar that obviously, of course, from that foundation it's very easy to go through from there to a crab-like creature. But it's kind of presented like, oh, wherever you are on whatever planet, you will always get crabs.
Right.
Sounds a bit wrong now that I say it out loud.
Yeah.
Hi, Nestlig.
Okay. Hello.
Hi
there.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
hey, before we get into Nestlig's point of view, though, let me just, so we don't forget chat that's going on here. Let me just quickly browse through here and see what people are saying. So one suggestion is Discord. I have a Discord server.
Ooh.
I don't know how to use it, but it's all set up. There's people over there. I've been posting stuff. I gave up on Discord server. It's awful. Oh, why? Just the conflicts and have to moderate it. I don't have the time for that.
Oh, it's another another social media platform, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to have
Yeah.
to check another social media platform.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work if you have
Yeah.
someone who could moderate it. Otherwise, you just can have to, oh, can you trust this guy? Because there will be trolls and moles coming in.
Yeah, I can say that so far I have been impressed with the people who have signed up for it. So there's a good crowd over there, and I feel like I can mostly trust them. Of course, it's easy for a few people to sneak in who are just awful, but so far it's looking pretty good. I think mainly what we're thinking of is that there are features for interactive conversations and stuff like that. There's voice chat and all this kind of thing. I just have to figure out how to use it. And so, it would be kind of cool to have a group discussion with some moderation where I can control it and people can speak up and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a possibility. I'll think about that down the line.
That would work, actually.
Let's see, what else do I got to say? Oh yeah, people bring up the whole issue of debating. Yeah, people would be hyped for a PZ versus Hovind debate, and sure they would. I know they would. I would hate it because I would feel like I'm wasting most of my time. Let's see. Yeah, and yeah, somebody comments, Hovind doesn't need any more platforming. No, these people, that's one of the things I wanted to do, was just kind of chop them off and not give them a platform.
There are much more interesting debates to be had than the creation versus evolution
Yes.
debate anyway. As Frenatopian mentioned, the whole convergent evolution thing is actually a really interesting debate
or contingency versus determinism. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
That would be something like the short fuse versus the long fuse Cameron explosion, or what is the usefulness of the species concept. These are actually interesting debates, but what do we get?
Yeah.
Is evolution true? Yes. Get over it. Move on.
Flat Earth. No.
Yeah, flat Earth. Right.
Oh, flat earthers are the worst. Just absolutely the worst. Yeah, I mean I've spoken out before about how I'm really down on debates, and I think they're a terrible way to do things. But that's because the quality of the debate sucks. And if you are talking to Kent Hovind in a debate, you're wasting your time. But you're right. So having conversations about these real issues would be much, much more interesting and more productive. And also it would be that interactive thing I mentioned I am lacking. So yeah, so who wants to have a debate with me?
About what?
Yeah, about what?
Well, and
I have crazy ideas.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a debate, it would be a discussion.
We should have someone representing the pan adaptationist approach. Let's bring in Richard
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
No, let's not bring in Richard Dawkins.
Okay, that's as bad as the creationists. Yeah.
Yeah, is there there are controversial topics like neutral what was it again, neutral theory and selection
Oh yeah, or constructive neutral evolution. That's
what more?
I was like looking at things up about like the unit of selection. Like there is like the gene center view, which fall under favor, and like most often is the individual. This is the unit of selection, and I've also seen proposals about like group, like kin selection, and also species sorting, for example.
Well, it's funny because Dawkins was such a big proponent of both kin selection and genes and the gene eye view of selection. It kind of seems like
kin selection is just a way to rescue gene-centered evolution. So yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's because it's like it's not the the gene that is. It's not just the gene that's getting passed on; it's the whole genome that's getting passed on. But with or once it
or at least half.
Yeah,
it's sexual selection. It's sexual selection, at least.
I mean, I tend to favor multiple levels of things going on, and again, Stephen Jay Gould was exactly right in structure of evolutionary thought. That's good stuff with multiple levels all threaded throughout it. and then it's just so terribly written.
Yeah, and things get really weird when you just look at like the intergenomic conflict, like with mitochondrial DNA and nuclear DNA, and you get something like cytoplasmic male sterility, for example, and it's really interesting to go into that and see what effect it has with evolution. It's especially interesting in insects, for example, where you have like the bacteria called Wolbachia, I think, if you pronounce it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting that causes like it is really interesting mechanisms to see how it causes genetic isolation, which is maybe the reason why insects are so prevalent in like many species of many different insects.
Oh yeah, Nestle, you reminded me about the there's also the bacterium, and I can't remember what genus it is, that causes choanoflagellates to group together into their little.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what the. But
yeah, I thought adhesins or bacteria. You mean bacteria?
Bacteria.
Oh, right.
It was bacteria, and so it was like the choanoflagellates come into contact with this bacteria, and they all sort of like cluster together.
And maybe they're just sticky, and then they will end up together.
Yeah, I don't. And it was talking about like maybe this played a role in the evolution of like multicellularity in animals.
By the way, if I could just interrupt, because I noticed I'm following the live stream video here, and I noticed that Nestle's thumbnail is not showing up when he's talking. It doesn't really matter much, but still.
Oh.
I don't know why that is. And Jackson Wheat was also gone for a moment, but he's back now.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, I had to go do something for a sec.
Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. Well, we can hear him at least. That's good. Yeah. And he looks so ominous.
Can the live also hear me?
I hope so. Oh, somebody wants the link to the Discord. I should find that.
Yeah, I actually set one up, and then I never distributed the link or anything. I just didn't.
I turned my camera on, but I of course I have my finger on my camera just to remain anonymous. Maybe that will make the difference. I don't know. I don't know if it matters. Like
there's no obligation to be non-anonymous here. I have no problem with people.
Wait, do the people know who I am?
Oh, you're some kid from Louisiana, right?
Maybe, possibly, yeah. I'm down here in the Bible Belt, the Babel Belt.
I have heard people claim to be in the Bible Belt from all across the country. So I think the Bible Belt is really, really wide and really, really long.
Yeah, if you're from the north, then the Bible Belt is like everything that was part of the Confederate States, like Virginia down. And if you're from the south, it's really just like the lowermost few states.
And I would say we got the Bible Belt up here. I mean, right where I live is a nest of Plymouth Brethren and these weird, funky people. The women all wear dresses and their hair in buns, and so yeah, it's everywhere.
I've seen a few.
The country.
Yeah, I've seen the whole country is Jesus land. I've seen a few of those weird sects down here, but not very many of them.
Yeah, they're everywhere. There are regions of Minnesota that were colonized by people trying to found utopias. They move out here into the grasslands, and no, they did not usually succeed.
As evidence.
Listen, could you try to say something? I can hear. Maybe I can hear you. I'm listening to the live stream on the.
Nestle?
Oh, you mean with me? Oh, I can see that some people say that they can hear all four of us. So
okay.
Or maybe I can leave and rejoin. I don't think it matters much as long as you can hear me.
Okay, I just managed to bring up the Discord. I'm on this older, slower computer over here in my office, which is great for things like writing up stuff for class, but not so good for other things.
Right. Works.
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of high tech stuff with my computer. I just have Movavi as my movie making program. I used to use the Microsoft Movie Maker, but like a Windows 10 update put the kibosh on it. So
Oh, yeah. So at home I have a Linux machine, which has got some really good software for it, but nothing is as elegant as what comes on an Apple. And it, yeah.
well, yeah.
But again, I don't think the recipe for improving channel is getting fancier video editing software.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think content is king unless you're one of the upper tier asshole YouTubers who make millions at it. And no, that's not going to be me ever.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, they probably do this as their main job. You know, they can
Yes.
spend the whole day putting together a video.
Yes.
As Nestle knows, the longest part of making my videos is just the script. It's like writing the script
Right.
takes by far the longest part.
So that's another question I have is that, you know, I used to do kind of just impromptu, spontaneous, let's just talk about this thing. And then I switched to doing scripting ahead of time. And I feel like it made me stodgier, if such a thing is possible. You know, I was sort of inspired by, you know, Rebecca Watson, who's really good at this. And she always does a script that she posts. And that's part of the appeal is that anybody can go there and just read it if you'd rather not watch a video. And so I thought that sounds like a good idea. But then I wonder if that kind of ripped all the spontaneity out of my YouTube videos.
It depends, you know, on the person that you are. I mean, myself, due to the nature of the beast, I just cannot do a very cohesive and structured video. So,
Yeah.
so I have to script myself so I stay focused and I don't start wondering, and I don't, you know, I remember all the words I have to use and all the facts I have to present in the right order. So I have to write everything down and just read it up aloud. And
Yes.
I'm getting better at it, but it's hard because, you know, you both have to focus on reading something up from a script, and then I also have to remember to suppress my accent. And in the beginning there was I sounded stodgy myself. After listen back to old videos, it's kind of like, but when I can hear there's an improvement over the years, basically, where I'm getting better at, you know, presenting, keeping an engaging voice, and yeah. But
Yeah.
it's also a skill that has to be acquired just by doing it. You know, just like driving a car. When you just finish learning how to drive, you know, you're on the road, you kind of because then it's when you really start learning how to drive a car. So it's a process that you're just gonna have to
Yes.
throw into. And
That's kind of how,
yeah.
that's how I kind of felt about getting into this. Is the only way to do it is to do it, and you learn from your mistakes as you go along. And again, that's kind of why I went back to let's do some assessment on how things are going, is because that's the only way you learn is you find out what's working, what's not working, and you fix it. Now,
Yeah, you get better at it.
Yeah, and you know, as you mentioned, preparing a script is kind of useful because it keeps you on track. But remember, one of the things I wanted was interactivity and spontaneity and all that kind of good stuff, and that goes away. Some people can do a really good job of acting spontaneous. I don't know that I can.
I have to do the whole script also because when I do debates with people and things, I've tried to do it with the script and I've tried to do it where I sort of memorize the main points in my script and then talk from that. It takes way too long for me to try to get all the points out to remember, okay, what exactly was that? And maybe that's because I'm not a professor, not a teaching person, and so I'm not as good at getting those ideas across.
And this is something I learned early on is, if you are a professor and you got to get up there and give a talk 5 to 10 times a week, you quickly learn, no, you cannot script every word. And so what I generally do with my classes, and this is something that's really helpful about having a real class instead of doing it over Zoom, is you got a list of points that you need to make that day, some issues you got to discuss, some problems you got to assign, all that kind of stuff. And then everything else is just, off the cuff as you're going. And you got to be comfortable with material to do that. But
yeah, and that could work for YouTube videos. A lot of people do it like that. Some people write every single word in a script and read every single word from that script. And other people just have bullet points, so they have a structure and they have the things that, or you could even make it even more generalized, abstract, like you were talking about. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it. Depends on the person you are.
Yeah. Okay, we got some more chat comment. Lots of comments here. Let me take a look at some of these. So what do we got? So I posted the Discord link. Let's see. I would make a good a-hole YouTuber. Yes, I would, because I am. It's natural. It's really easy.
Oh my goodness.
Add animated PowerPoint slides at some points in the video. That would be an interesting idea to spice it up. My tendencies to go all one way or the other is talking head or solid PowerPoint presentation, but mixing it up might be a good way to do that. Let's see. Yeah, looking at old videos, see which ones did best. Oh, I did that. It was terrible because the ones that do best, unfortunately, are the ones where I tangle with people like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I've had similar, or I've noticed similar things. It's my best videos are either the creationist ones or they're ridiculously random. Like whale sex is the most popular video on my channel. I think followed by early mammal evolution. Whale sex, and
because it says sex in the title.
Yeah, probably. But they're
sex
just
a keyword in everything. Yeah.
I should name all of my videos something sex,
Yes.
Yeah, they're either very random or it's, as you said, it's combating crazy people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that tends to distort everything, and that's not good because I kind of just ignore those. The main thing I took away from looking at videos is just looking at the ones where I just talk about science in a non-confrontational way. 800 to 1,000 viewers, then into this last couple of weeks, boom, down to 300.
Well, what you also could do, and I had various success with that, is try to tackle, depending on your motivation and interest, of course, some certain popular culture things like games or movies, things like that, or cartoons, and kind of try to fit it in with a topic, or use it, like for example the Netflix series, which is really popular on alien evolution, on the evolution on other worlds. And I wanted to do a video on that too, but too many things going on right now in my life. So, but yeah, because my channel is kind of spiking at the moment. So I was thinking, oh my God, I have to do this Netflix thing because now people are gonna. So because then I can really push this spike further upwards. But I just don't have the time. I spent the whole afternoon cleaning the house and stuff like that. And now tomorrow I have to go to Copenhagen for my job. So yeah. It's hard to be a spare time YouTuber, but it's only a hobby for me. So
yeah, I think the last popular or popular culture video I did was one on the coronavirus a few months back, in which I just sort of distilled general information about the coronavirus, things like that, as Nestle knows. And so, but Yeah, other than that, I don't
Yeah.
usually do it. I think we talked about one video or one movie, PZ, Genesis Paradise Lost way
Oh.
back. You remember
Oh,
that?
fuck.
Yeah.
That movie was bad.
Yeah, and the problem
Yeah.
with that kind of movie is it's not intrinsically interesting. You know, it's just
No.
that was just a dry repetition of the acts of Genesis and throw in some cheesy computer animation and it just
Yeah, I have an idea, by the way. Because rather than bashing creationists, what is also a very popular topic right now is bashing flat earthers. And but if you don't want to jump on that bandwagon, there are some other crazy ideas you could jump onto. I've been considering that myself, like something called the electric universe or something. I forgot exactly what it
The
was.
Electric
Oh.
Universe?
Oh,
What is
yeah,
that?
maybe I got their name wrong, but there's some goofy ideas out there that are just kind of thinking like, well, maybe, and this is my, you know, maybe I should not do that at all if it doesn't really interest me. Because I was, well, maybe if I threw something on a video on that, then I'm gonna get a lot of people, you know, oh, they want to see me bash some stupid people, because that's apparently very popular to see stupid people being bashed. And I don't know,
yeah.
it's a bit too cliche and I don't know.
You
Bad
know,
vibes.
PZ, you like or you mentioned neuroscience earlier. Well, there in that vein, you could talk about how neurology or neuroscience makes like the soul concept untenable or something like that. If you wanted, that's just one avenue, I guess.
That's already on my list is talking
Oh.
about some of that. So no, that's fine. Yeah, I have a long list of topics I could just rattle on about, and yeah, these general concepts of neuroscience is one. As I mentioned, on my short list right now is Nipam Patel's review of invertebrate neuroscience.
Mhm.
That's actually how I got started in this biology business. I went off to graduate school. I was going to study development of the nervous system. So
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, it just struck me another very popular topic that is really growing very fast, and which I'm also kind of is in the slipstream of. That is world building, and especially, and I'm kind of latching onto that with the alien evolution, because a lot of people want to have some ideas on how to, you know, how alien biospheres is a very very algorithm friendly phrase. Because people want to know more about how to evolve alien beings, you know, alien life forms on other planets. So that's also the Netflix series is really popular. So that is kind of and it's incidentally a topic that really interests me.
yeah.
Have you heard
that
about
is
that?
my most popular content is about alien biosphere evolution.
Have you heard about the game Species on Steam?
Species.
Yeah, but I'm invested currently in Thrive, which is also an evolution game, which is trying to make a better Spore.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Oh,
Thrive. I did a video on Thrive some time ago.
okay. Well, PZ, it's a Species is a game on Steam where you make organisms and you can select them or you can force them to undergo different selective pressures and things like this, and they will evolve in different directions and all that.
Yeah, it's really popular. Yeah, it's really popular. You should maybe you should try that. Let's play.
Yeah, exactly. Let's play. Yeah,
live stream playing Species. That would be. I've also been playing No Man's Sky. Speaking of algorithmic stuff.
Oh man, that game. Ooh, that game had a lot of controversy when it first came out. The spokesperson basically vanished.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot of hype for it that and there wasn't much to do at the beginning, so it kind of went shoo.
Yeah, and it kept crashing, if I remember correctly, on people.
But now it's stable. It's
good.
kind of Minecraft in space, but also you get to flit around and visit alien planets. And yeah, they've got different organisms on them, but again, it's algorithmically generated, but it's kind of random. So you don't see a lot of coherence in what you find on a planet. So something I could do is just hey, let's live stream. Today we go to this alien world in No Man's Sky, and I will sit there and tear apart the species that you find there and why they're not very good.
Yeah.
Have
that
you
would
seen
work.
the Netflix series? Like I don't know if Fredatopian has seen it, but I don't
Yeah.
know if Paul has seen it or Jackson. All right, I've all seen it.
Yeah.
I've heard from reading Darren Naish's reviews of it that it seems like kind of the topics of basic sort of evolutionary biology, kind of exploring these and how this would unfold on other planets.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty good.
I find the pacing a bit bad because just when you are getting right sucked into the environment of these like alien worlds, then it yonks you back to planet Earth where they explain in long like, oh, this is what we see here, and then all right, go back please, I want to see the aliens.
But they cannot fill an entire show with just animations of aliens because it's too expensive. So
that's right. It's Netflix fault that they have to blow it up as much as they can to fill in 4 episodes. So
yeah, I saw that, and one of the things I felt it was really missing is it's the same thing you see in No Man's Sky. You go to a planet and there's like 10 or 12 species. That's it.
Yeah.
And in this Netflix series, they look at and they just focus on, oh, this species does X, Y, and Z, and it's interacting with 1 or 2 others. And but again, that would be so expensive to really good.
I like the I don't know if I've seen. I like the one creature, the pentapod, like the one creature that has 5 legs. So it's very. It's like instead of like having the bilaterians walking around like we see in our world, instead you have like just a 5-point radial symmetrical organism walking around instead of like a bilateral symmetrical organism. So it's really exploring something totally different that we experience. But then again, there's another episode where you have like a monkey. Like it's really it's just a monkey basically. It's like so familiar, then it's not really alien anymore, right?
Yeah. But I'm going to make a comment on those things in a video perhaps at some stage when I've got time.
But then again, the one of the strengths though was that like that monkey episode, they were talking about a concept where there are species that lure in the monkeys and poison them to consume. So just focusing on a biological process like that, I think is a reasonable way to limit how big your story is going to be and how big your budget has to be. And
also the monkey was the predator, and the prey of the monkey was like a rabbit, but with a moth eyes or something. I don't know. I thought it was too familiar for me. At least for me.
This is a concept that I kind of latched onto in one of my earlier videos on Subnautica, where I say, well, this is a very common trope. I call them Frankenstein fusions. Take parts of one animal, take parts of animal, and put them together, and it looks very alien and still yet very familiar, which is, well, it's kind of reasonable because it works, because it conveys the sense of something alien, and at the same time it feels real. So, but scientifically speaking, of course, that doesn't quite make sense.
Although there was one thing about the episode that I did really find fascinating is like when they mated, they let go of a piece of themselves, and those little pieces mated with each other. It's like something that plants do, like ferns. They have like the little gametophytes that walk on their own, like grow on their own, separate from the main organism.
Why can't both sexes have motile gametes? That would be
that was cool actually.
We just throw them into the environment. Sprinkle them on the sidewalk.
Another comment in the chat is that Twitch is a good way for growing game streaming.
I've heard that also. Yeah. I think that's also where people, or from what I've seen, where you can talk to other people on that, have like one-on-one discussions, things like that.
Yeah, and so I'm actually seeing a lot of people who've got a Twitch. They're doing Twitch streaming to talk about things like politics and so forth, and then
Mhm.
that's being automatically exported to YouTube, which is where
That's
I
what
see it.
Hannah and Jake do typically. They do that kind
Uh-huh.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Can
I think
I?
surfs do that. Yes, go ahead.
Can I? I saw something in the chat that I want to respond on. It says CRISPR-Cas9 says building of the world building. I think rerunning the tape on Earth through thought experiments would be interesting. People really think we need to get to what we have, and that's actually something I'm trying to get to with my own channel. Is kind of exploring in my own, non-professional way. Would we always get the same kinds of creatures? More, or would we not? Because the assumption is always, evolution of life on other planets will be completely different. We have no idea. We cannot predict it. And the more I think about it, and maybe there's some literature on that out there, I don't know. It seems like, well, there are some things that you would always expect to get, like the most basic things, of course, like worms to dig through sediments and stuff like that. But yeah, that is actually a very interesting concept that I'm pondering very heavily at the moment. Is okay, if we just start from scratch, would you still get worms that would want to dig through sediments, and then they would want to have kind of a tough integument with bumps, and then would that maybe eventually lead to an insect like I elucidate in my latest video, or I mean arthropods, of course, because then you would get a segmented worm with things sticking out, and those things will start to turn into legs. So we get a seriated kind of animal, and then you would still end up with something very familiar to an arthropod. So
Yeah.
the more I think about it, the more I try to explore these things, the more I think, well, maybe we will still get things like, because evolution is just fanning out in all directions, and then
Right.
it's picking out things that don't really work, and then, but then you would still try to get a process that tries everything and then sticks with certain things that work. And then, so I'm starting to think that, well, maybe you will still always get arthropods, vertebrates, something like mollusks. Maybe you will still get those things. It's a very interesting thought experiment. And I don't think
Except
anyone really knows.
I would argue that there's potential in the body plan that makes a big difference.
Right.
So, for example, if we went back 700 million years ago to the arthropod chordate split, and then you exterminated the chordates,
Right.
Like Stephen Jay Gould said.
Yeah, would you get four-legged tetrapods crawling onto the land? And I would say no. You would.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you would probably get something with 6 or 8 legs, with some kind of armor, or 10, whatever. Yeah, there's no restrictions on crustaceans, it seems, or centipedes.
Although if you want back the tape and you just exterminated the chordates, then maybe we won't even get insects, because that's also when insects before they evolved. So maybe you won't even get insects at all.
The butterfly effect. Yeah.
With the mollusks, I was reading a paper on how it seems mollusk, or cephalopod, the coleoids, the octopus and squid, their intelligence seems to have been a result of being preyed upon by ichthyosaurs and fish and plesiosaurs. So would we still get intelligent coleoids? Well, probably not.
Oh, I don't. You're postulating that in the absence of chordates, you wouldn't get top predators, and I think you would. Well, and the insects and crustaceans were on the land.
We would still have giant sea scorpions today, maybe.
Yes, the Eurypterids would take over.
But we're giant sea scorpions preying on coleoids.
Yeah, we would still get crabs, all of us.
Yeah,
we would become the crab.
That's the only non-contingent thing. On every planet there is a crab.
Crabs are the ideal form.
Yeah.
Well, no, worms are. You'd find worms.
But kind of to get back to the what if chordates were exterminated? The thought I'm having is that, well, okay, because when you get arthropods, if you have a planet that is very much like Earth with gravity and all, gravity-wise and climate-wise, then you will, if you have arthropods, they will always stay under a certain size because they cannot, due to certain restrictions, they cannot grow any bigger. You would have to have something with an internal skeleton like vertebrates, to get creatures that are bigger. So maybe through another pathway than chordates, you would still, maybe it would even be an arthropod that would kind of totally change their body plan. but eventually you will have to get something with an internal skeleton if you want to get bigger creatures. And there's also always a push towards greater size.
Sometimes
not always,
yeah,
also
yeah.
smaller size, depending on
Hopes rule for the win.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of both ways. But yeah, but will you still eventually get something with an internal skeleton, and will with all the constraints on with the gravity being the same, it would maybe still start to look like a vertebrate or land vertebrate on land in any case.
Yeah, that's like interesting to see the constraints about body size. Like I've seen a paper on that explains why sauropods like broke through the ceiling of like the like peak, reaching the limits of what is possible for a vertebrate to reach these gigantic sizes, and it's basically saying like, well, their lineage basically got lucky. Like they laid eggs. Mammals, like placental mammals at least, their gestation limits their size really hardly, and also sauropods didn't chew. Chewing is actually one of the things that constrains size. Like for example, an elephant, because they have these giant jaw muscles. They cannot really grow anything bigger, because when they go bigger, then their heads basically becomes too big for their body to maintain. So yeah, that's why sauropods' heads are very small, because they don't chew, and that allows them to have these very long necks. Otherwise, if their heads are too big, then the heads.
Do you think that would also be because reptiles or sauropsids also can increase the number of vertebrae they have, unlike mammals?
Oh yeah.
Do you think that's also a factor?
Yeah. It's also probably the fact. Yeah. It's of course like giraffes. Like they are. Some people like to draw the connection with giraffes with sauropods, but of course they have long necks. But besides that, they are very different. And of course, the giraffes they tried by elongating the vertebrae, but of course you can only get so far with that strategy to.
But essentially, a sauropod is basically just like an elephant, with the difference that it's had the head at the end of the trunk. So yeah.
Basically, the elephant solved the problem by having a very long nose.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it is kind of where you put the I think I had one video I said that, okay, well, do we even expect a creature to have a neck? Because you can also, instead of your head being movable, you can just make your eyes movable, like crabs. They have eyes and stilks.
Yeah.
And instead of having a neck, to be able to grab food, you can also have something that sticks out from your head, or you could have pincers like crabs do.
Any
there are a lot of alternative solutions to the same problem that what maybe we would be like
Stephen Gould was the one who argued for contingency. Like who was who was his opposition again? I don't remember.
Conway Morris.
Conway Morris, yes.
Yeah. I think Gould, that was really kind of the one point from Gould's book that I really appreciated, or from A Wonderful Life. I mean, his descriptions of the arthropods were cool, but I think the way he kind of describes the Cambrian explosion is almost a little mystic. But I do really appreciate his point about contingency in there, about how why did the ancestor of chelicerates survive but not Anomalocaris? Why Pacaya but not whatever else?
And he was a bit wrong on that, because it turns out Anomalocaris is just at the base of the arthropod tree. They're all transitional forms towards arthropods. So
same with Opabinia.
Well, we could have, instead of arthropods, we could have had something like Anomalocaris, and now we know better.
Yeah,
kind of.
It's also to see like once, like it's almost like once you have reached a certain like body shape, you're almost stuck in the same like lifestyle of like for example again these sauropods, when they have this body plan, or loosely defined body plan, and they can only like get by being big and being like they can't go back to being like a predator, for example, or something else. They are stuck in that shape.
Right, the constraints. Phylogenetic constraints.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, with arthropods, it's the molting, the ecdysis that constrains also constrains how big they can grow and other things.
And one of the arguments that I've seen that argues against contingency is like the anole lizard. I don't know if you know about the anole lizard. Like like you have these lizards on different islands, and you have on each island you have ecomorphs, like one lizard that lives on the ground, and one lizard that lives on the canopy, and another lizard that lives even higher on the canopy. And if you compare these ecomorphs on different islands, they all look the same. Like the ones that live on the ground look the same, and the ones that live on the higher canopy all look the same. But when they compare the genomes, the lizards on each island are more closely related to each other than they are to different on different islands. So it means that the process of like this differentiation between these different lizards on each island evolved independently. So it's like, oh, the evolution of these lizards was really predictive. Like if you put these lizards on the island, then you will predict that the same differentiation process will happen over and over again, basically.
This is Darwin's finches again.
Yeah, of course, I would say it is biased because you already start with a lizard. Then you already have constraints.
It's a very closely related group. Yeah, exactly.
You've already constrained the possibilities.
Yeah, it is parallel evolution more than convergent.
Like if instead of lizards, if you put beetles on the island, would you also expect them to be to have the same effect? I don't know. Like
you're right.
Maybe you would get a very different niche differentiation process, like the beetles that live on different flowers, for example. Maybe you have something like that instead of living at different elevations.
Well, it's kind of expected for adaptive radiations, isn't it? Because you usually get like a group of fairly closely related species who are invading similar niches, and so they're kind of developing similar adaptations to these niches, or they're invading similar environments, and they're developing similar adaptations, and so I think I agree with you for that part. Because they're already closely related, so they can only go in a set number of ways. But if you start out with something with some very different things, would you maybe get something very different?
Yeah, this was also observed in like the Lenski experiment when you have these they began with the exact same genome basically in 12 separate populations, and they observed like, oh, it's very predictive. They all increase in fitness, and they also have similar genetic changes to fine-tune their metabolism to grow on glucose. But in one population, you have a very contingent change with the citrate phenotype, where it depended on like how it's called again.
The CIT plus
it was potentiation mutations, like mutations that weren't adaptive by themselves, but they were still necessary for the eventual phenotype to arise, basically. So it was contingent on those mutations. So we see a bit of both. We see predictive trends, but we also see sometimes a very contingent change happening in this process. So
it kind of makes you wonder, like, what stage or the other thing that I was wondering about was, you have, if you were looking at this like from a taxonomic viewpoint, where sort of do we expect the limits of this predictability? Like, well, we probably wouldn't predict specific species would arise on different planets, but how far back, what sort of morphological features would you expect?
Also, you could make the argument that perhaps most worlds would be microbial, like worlds of scum. With Republicans. Sorry, I had to make the joke.
Yes. Let me step back for a moment, though, because one of the things we're doing right now is we're talking about all this variety of great science topics we could discuss, right? When kind of the question I have in my head is, how can I or anyone else jump in and do these topics justice and build an audience? Let's see. We got
trial
Joe
by combat.
Stormwood. Yes, Jackson, you and I were going up. No, Joe and Stormwood. She mentions the thing with videos is either you put out less than 10 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, or 60 plus minutes, but the audience and what they're looking for in those videos is not the same. So there's another issue. How long are most of your videos?
Kind of depends.
I think
Nestle,
it depends
what
on
would
the topic, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we would usually say maybe 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. Would you say, Nestle, that sounds about right?
Yeah, I would say like I this is also one criticism I have against myself. Like I help you with the script, and if I know very much about the topic, I can really put a lot of stuff in the script. But then the script will become too huge, in my own opinion.
Well, that's what I appreciate so much about you, is that you add to the scripts and all that.
Yeah,
of
But yeah,
course.
usually
Like
12 to 15.
I also like want to constrain the video to a certain size. Like I think between 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I like that. Like short videos, more people want it. Of course, for example, when we debunk videos that make so many mistakes, it needs to be fleshed out really long.
Especially with the if they're making arguments that are like very subtly wrong, and so you have to spend 10 minutes explaining like all the assumptions built into this argument.
Yeah.
It's like a Giskelab.
Right.
Yeah,
So, well, somebody's asking which ones are most successful. And I found in the past that the optimal length for me is right around 20 minutes. That shorter, you can't do justice to the subject. Longer, you start boring the audience. So 20 minutes, it's always felt like, and it's not as if I am aiming to replace an hour-long documentary with my rudimentary video skills. So 20 minutes is about right. Although, as a counter evidence, Sean was mentioned earlier. That guy goes on for a couple hours, and all it is
well,
it's just his picture, his little skull picture. That's it.
It might also be personality or voice, but there's at least one aspect, a more technical aspect that
the
has to
voice
be taken
helps.
into mind. That is ads.
Oh yes,
advertisements, because in the beginning, and it changes all the time, the algorithm, which is kind of annoying. But some time ago, maybe a year or so ago, I was told that you should try to get your video over 10 minutes, because then you can have more ads halfway. Now that of course has changed again, because now you get like 3 ads through a 15-minute video, maybe even 4. And but I'm kind of timing my videos into sections of about 3 minutes, which I then fade out into black and then fade out into the next section. And then I can put ads at those spots. And then if you allow for a lot of ads, then of course, naturally the YouTube algorithm becomes really happy for your videos. It's very nice of you to put more ads in, and so YouTube can earn more money, which is kind of sucky.
Yeah,
but
this is
the
a good
way
point.
of the land.
Yeah, this is another variable I tossed into the mix. Is when I came out with this recent video series, I explicitly decided not to monetize them, and because I hate the ads, they're constantly interrupting the flow of the conversation. And it may be just that one of the reasons they plummeted is YouTube stopped recommending them.
Yeah, and that's
Could be, yeah.
That is why I hate ads myself too, and it's not my job, although it's an expensive hobby relatively, but I put in ads exactly for the algorithm, because I want my videos to be seen, and so that is the main reason actually I keep ads in, because of the algorithm, because I know that YouTube will then promote my videos more because I earn money for them, and that's unfortunately the way it works, because it's a corporate commercial interests platform, like so many other platforms. And what you gonna do?
It's also a bit the same. I don't know, maybe not the same problem. Like with a bit peer review articles. Like sometimes, if you want an open access article, you need to pay for it, and it's also not very but if you want to really promote your work, then you need to publish it on a very prestigious journal. But of course, most of them you need to either pay a huge amount of money for open access, or put it in and locked behind the paywall. So
Yeah.
By the way, there's an anti-capitalist alternative to YouTube called Means TV, if anyone's heard of that. Maybe also worth checking out.
Means
It's
TV.
based Means TV, yeah, means
Oh,
of production. So and that is based
Aha,
on subscription.
nah.
So people can subscribe to this service, to this platform, and then how exactly they're going to distribute the money, I'm not sure. That's probably also based on views, of course. But
Is it like BreadTube? Because I
I
remember that
guess
was
so.
a thing.
I don't know. I'm not.
I
Much
never
of a
did that, but
BreadTuber.
I heard about it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called Means TV, and there's also Utreon, but I don't know. But that's also commercial, basically. So it's going to become the same as YouTube.
Mhm.
But I've also seen like sometimes the length of the video doesn't matter. Like if I've seen some of your lectures, like I do the kinky stuff and roaming around the genetic junkyard, and also you too can know more than the creationist on genetics or some like the lectures of PC. And what I've learned about creationists.
That's
That's
my
one.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's my favorite.
And also the presentation where you say, let me give you a summary of these creationist or ID lectures. Complexity.
yeah.
Complexity. Yeah, of course. But these of course take a long time, but they still attract a lot of views.
Oh yeah, you've got
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of views on the a few things I've learned from creationists. But
okay.
what I loved about that one is I'm afraid to tell Ray Comfort that plants are sexual reproducing too. I still laugh about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing I should do is look back
What
at
was
some
the
of those
first
old
rose?
videos.
What is pollen just plant sperm? Velociraptor mean? It's like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking for over an hour.
Yeah.
Let me pin everybody down and make recommendations to me. Like, what would you specifically say would be a good thing for me to do in the near future?
Anyone? Okay, well,
I really like your videos where you talk about the papers and you interact with the audience questions about those papers. I really like that style. I would recommend more of that, I guess.
That's what I do with students, and it's kind of a natural flow for me. So that would be easy to do.
I think it would be like having a workflow going from like the general to the specific. Like you begin with like a general problem or a controversy or a topic, and then you go, oh, here's a paper that really shows this neatly about this topic. Like for example, of course you're already doing that, so perhaps not very helpful feedback, but still.
Well, right now I feel like maybe I can blame it on the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
It's easier on my ego than saying, oh yeah, you're just a boring old fart. But yeah.
Yeah, at least you're yourself. But no, but I have two tips actually. One about your channel. Maybe, I mean, I see you're putting a lot of work on your thumbnails, or as it is, but I think they're kind of, a bit messy to my eyes. So maybe try to get some tips on techniques on how to make thumbnails that really pop and evoke emotions. Because when people are scrolling, they just, things have to pop and jump to them, and they have to draw their attention. So
giant text words and bright colors.
Something, because like you lose a lot of red fonts or letters, which with a very squiggly. The last few videos, at least, because it's the spider theme.
Yeah,
I get it why, but it doesn't. I cannot read it. On my big screen, computer screen, I cannot read what it says. Some of the other ones with the yellow letters and the nicer fonts is better, easily more readable. Because maybe you could try. I put a lot of attention on my thumbnails, and I've found a font that is both very easy to read, and also it is very characteristic. It's a font is called the Glockenspiel, and I'm the only one using it. So whenever people see that font, they will recognize it as my channel's font. I'm not saying you should do exactly the same, because a lot of people just use a readable font. But
that's branding. That's a good thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's branding, and it's making your thumbnails become interesting and drawing attention, because people just scrolling through thumbnails because on their recommendation, and it's there's some something about the color schemes and the font size. There are some techniques like the rule of thirds you have to mind, and
Right.
there's a lot of techniques you can use try to kind of dig into. I can give some tips afterwards maybe, but basically, work on your thumbnails because it's really, really important, the thumbnails. The second tip is there's a community that I'm part of called We Create Edu. It's kind of a funky name. I recommended it before, last time I was on, or the second last time, I don't remember. And it's a community of science education YouTubers. It's not a network in the sense of the predatory networks. It's a network of people. It's a community of people helping each other out. They have a Slack where you can ask for advice on your thumbnails and on your video titles, and then you can kind of lean on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. There's a lot of people with a lot of experience, and people with a lot of people with a huge YouTube channels in the millions, and also tiny channels with only few hundred subscribers. So it's a really nice mix of people. So I can send you the link of that. I'm really happy. It's a very supportive community, very well run. There's a lot of funny business going on.
Yeah.
They're really very nice people. So I really recommend you check that out.
And there are also like techniques about like making, even though each video has a unique thumbnail, there are still some regularities between the thumbnails that make people see, this is a PC Minus video and such. Like one good example I can think of, like, I don't know if you know the channel Miles Power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He has always like this little green bar on the side, and oh, this is Miles Power. But then the rest of the thumbnail is like a unique thing that distinguishes it from all the others. So maybe that's a good example, I think, of making your like a unique consistency in your thumbnails.
Yeah.
Of course, don't copy him like having a bar.
No.
Of course, but still some regularity at least.
Yes, I've noticed that too when I was looking at other channels to see what they're doing, and some of them you go to their just their list of videos, and the thumbnails all have a real strong thematic similarity, which mine don't. And yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I pasted the link to We Create Edu start site. So
yes, I got it
in the chat. There's some also from also another interesting thing is also with the thumbnails, think of contrast colors. It's been mentioned in the chat also here, but there are complement colors that make things like letters pop out. Also may be very useful to explore. A lot of graphical design elements.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to make thumbnails better, because I think they need maybe a bit more work, and also your channel page. Maybe you should make more sections. So now it's just your latest uploads and the current video, and it's a bit empty. People visiting your channel, they might want to be recommended, or maybe there's some series you want to put on. So maybe play around with filling your channel page with a lot of stuff for people to click on.
I'd have to figure out how to do that stuff. But yes.
Yeah, and also put in. I'm not sure if you do that already, but make what you can end screen with links to other videos, and also in video cards. I've been using all those things for a very long time. I don't think they give a lot, but still they might invite people to check out another video if they like the one they're currently watching. So a lot of things like that.
Okay, I can explore that, see what I can do.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Other comments from the chat I'm looking at. So another thing is personal tale is an intro, then an essay or research we're going to talk about, then a critique or conclusion. Yeah, I've actually been consciously trying to do that with the last couple of videos, is explain why I am into this and kind of my history with it.
I have thought about that, but I have unfortunately like no history with anything. So I'm just like, all right, here's a cool topic. Let's talk about this.
Yes, but you're developing a history, so it's all good.
I guess so. I will refer everyone back to my YouTube channel in the future.
Yeah. Let's see. More sections and playlists. Okay, I will have to figure out. I'll have to figure out the stuff with YouTube though? That's gonna
Oh
take
yeah,
some
all of my videos are in playlists that for just ease of access.
Oh.
Yeah, if you have like if you have a series, then
Yeah,
it should
playlists.
be playlist, make playlists. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna confess to my ignorance here because I
Make a playlist
never
on make a playlist.
never used playlists.
Yeah.
So when you
No?
make a video, it will and like or when you're uploading a video, sorry, and on the very first page when you're of YouTube when you're uploading it, it will say like add to playlist, or you can make a playlist, and so you do that, or you can go back to your other videos you've published and add them to playlists, and so you can. So all of the videos on my channel are structured by topic, right? We have videos in the ecology playlist, videos in the zoology playlist, and so that way, if you want to just watch all those, you can just go and let those play.
Right. Yeah, because right now, if somebody goes to my channel, they don't know whether they're going to get a bunch of spiders jumping out at them, or creationist bashing, or a discussion of evolution. So that's another good
Maybe it's
suggestion.
kind of leave out those videos from spiders. Maybe just a side channel or something. So you focus on certain kind of content.
No, the spiders are the best thing.
Sorry, just a tip, because I have a lot. I'm all over the place with my content. So
or if you talk about spiders, just put Lucas the spider, like the cute spider. Right.
You could do like the peacock spider. You should start growing those in your lab.
Yeah.
You ever seen those?
Oh yeah,
right, I know.
They're so pretty.
Actually,
and maybe get another channel icon, because it's like an old white dude basically. Sorry to say, you have so many interesting cartoony or puppy things that pop out. People, maybe things like that. Branding is key basically. Although a face might also do the trick, but I don't know.
Is it of a spider have a puppy in a Halloween costume that looks like a spider? Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I don't even know that I have a channel icon, do I? What? I should look at that. Okay. Yeah, so I should be making some serious effort to organize and thematize and think about those things, those things that the art people over on the other side of campus do.
Oh, maybe you can give some tips. I have one more tip.
No, that's good. What?
Or I have lots more tips, but the one I just thought of is that your description is very empty. And I stuff my description, because that's also the algorithm goes through all of those things, the description, subtitles, captions,
hashtags,
stuff like that. Yeah. So, and they also all have to kind of link content with other content. So then is content that is similar, it may try to recommend it, maybe if you're not very popular, you may be one of the 0.1 promille chance of being presented, but still, the more you can be linkable to other similar content, the greater your chances of being promoted.
I've also seen that, like on some YouTube videos, you have like above the title the hashtags, like in smaller or lower case or something like that, right? I don't know. How do you add those? Like, I don't know.
Sorry, what's that?
Like if you see a video, you see the title, and sometimes above the title you see a hashtag, like in smaller letters.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how you add. I don't know how you add those, or maybe I don't know. Like.
By the way, you can also section you make chapters. Yeah. Anyway, in the description, they show up in your timeline bar, or what do you call that? Yeah. But you could try to check out my videos and kind of what I'm doing in the description also, and my thumbnails and all of those things, because I put a lot of attention. I got a lot of tips. Really dug into this topic. I had a hyper focus on the topic a few years ago, and I kind of dumped a lot of information and tips and techniques, and then I kind of kept that for I don't know how long. Try to keep it consistent. So yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up shortly.
Yeah.
But there is a request in the chat to, is there a way that we can follow or subscribe to you three? So you guys who are on my channel, maybe you can get into the chat and leave a quick link to.
I don't
they
have
can-
much videos on my channel, so but anyway,
Just a moment.
yeah.
Twitter, whatever. Just go ahead, throw it in there, and
Yeah.
let
It's
people
my
find
name.
you.
My channel is just Jackson Wheat,
Library history.
the one and only.
Okay, throwing it in.
Uh-huh.
And I'm on Twitters also. I do the Twitters
As Jackson Wheat, I know I've got you in my.
as Jackson Wheat. Yes, sir.
Yes. You are as uncreative as I am.
When I first, I started this because I met some nationalists who were promoting young earth creationism, and so I decided I'll just make a channel. I'm not super creative. I'll just make my name the channel, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a nobody, but
But becoming somebody, which is always good.
That might work.
Yeah.
Brand is a brand. It's
Yeah.
actually a neat name because it's kind of unique. I kind of like Jackson Wheat and also PC Myers. They're brandy names. So yeah.
oh yeah, everybody knows Peasy.
Nice and short. Yes.
It's
Top.
PZ.
Oh, you could go with
PZ,
PC
yeah.
Top.
PZ.
The
PC
beard.
top. Oh my goodness.
You just have to grow your beard. I'm also working on mine now.
No, I'm gonna trimming everything up shortly, and I'm gonna stop with the blue hair dye
Oh,
because this summer I have big plans for some field work, which involve knocking on the doors of various farmers in the area. And
Right.
let's look really staid and professional when I do that. So,
I can approach them with blue hair and say, "Hey."
no, I'm gonna get a haircut. I'm gonna have a very formal business card made up because
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up. I don't want to get shot for one thing, but yeah, I'm gonna go knock on the farmhouse door and say, "Hey, I'm an arachnologist. Here's my card to prove it. Can I go scan your barn for weird spiders?" And
Or you could grow a mustache that looks like Calicera, kind of spider things.
that would just scare them off. No, don't want to. It's all going to be very trimmed, and it's going to be pure snowy white. And I'll be boring. Yeah, that's the way it works.
Just be yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I agree totally with that lesson. That was how I started out blogging. Is don't worry about what other people, just say what concerns me and ignore the stats. And I kind of felt like my mistake for the last month or so was to look at the stats, which are terrifying.
Yeah, they don't make sense. I don't understand my stats either. I know I could probably get it. Yeah. If I put
Yeah,
more
and Google
time in it.
Analytics. Oh, there is so much crap there. I don't dig that deeply into analytics.
No, but if you tried out Social Blade, which is they're much more easily to kind of
Okay.
state. I put the link in the chat also.
Yeah. All right. So I will see what I can do there. Oh, Joe Stormlord. I looked for Jackson Wheat and found 20, so I'll kind of need a name.
Jackson,
That
you
is your
found
name.
20 Jackson Wheats
Maybe it's 20 people criticizing Jackson Wheat.
on wait, what platform was it? I looked it up.
YouTube probably.
Yeah.
Oh, that is I put because Frenotopia, that is kind of unique. I really put a lot of I changed my channel names like 3 times, and then I stuck with Frenotopia because
I'm
it's
the
not
one with
used
the cat
anywhere.
on my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you have trouble in finding my channel because my name is very unique too.
I wear a cat on my shoulders in which is my usual profile picture.
Yeah.
On YouTube, it should be my video should be the first things that come up. And,
oh wow!
Should have a what?
Yeah, there are a lot of Jackson Wheats. 1, 2, 3.
What are you looking on
4.
YouTube?
Yeah, a filter for channels.
Oh,
yeah, I can post,
I'm the one with the cat on my shoulder, so
yeah, you're the top. You're the top.
Okay.
There's one with 26
Okay.
subscribers and one with one video and one with one video who makes a selfie half naked in the mirror. So I guess that's not you.
That would not be me, no.
So I don't think you have to be concerned about competition here.
You've got copycats, I think, is what it is.
Oh, good. I finally made it then, I guess.
Yeah.
Man. Jackson Wheat.
Oh man, I probably should update that picture. I think it was taken like
Oh, yeah,
6 years ago.
It's a bit dark.
Oh.
Yeah, it should pop. It should pop, you know, it should kind of pop.
But it's the picture I've had on everything, you know, for this long. And so I do
Yeah.
actually, I was Apologia cartoon, so maybe I could have that. Yeah.
Or you make an icon with a cat, like a yin yang symbol or something, and your head in the middle. I don't know. Be creative.
Or just a barrel of wheat.
Or I was Wheat Man on Vice Rhino's channel one time. I
Should do a video on the evolution of wheat and domestication of it.
Uh-huh.
We could, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cartoon avatar of me in a diaper that I've used. So that's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
like
seen
that
it,
one.
yeah, I like it too. It gets people curious. Why are you wearing a diaper? Why do you have angel wings? What is going on here? So that's always
Aren't you
good.
supposed to be an atheist? And don't you believe in angels? Like, why?
Right. Yes. Yes, angels have hordes of wings, and the wings have eyes on them. So no, I don't look like an
Oh
angel.
God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Also,
horrible.
it's phylogenetically impossible to have wings as a primate, or at least on your back.
Wow. Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Now I've looked up myself on here, and I am showing up in some interesting places. Very interesting.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and the 26 subscribers with 10 videos. I see that now. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, they're stealing your good name and trying to ride on your coattails.
It's some guy hunting ducks. Oh nope, I do not approve. I don't approve of this. Sorry.
Maybe Jackson Wheat is just a really common name down south, right?
I've met one other person who's not related to me, whose last name is Wheat. So.
Oh. You would not believe how many Paul Myerses I have met in my life. It's just,
I bet I can believe it.
yeah. So PZ is a better bet for uniqueness.
Although I could also probably use my own name, my real name, as a kind of unique, probably also. I don't think a lot of people have called Fedor Alexander Stayman.
What does Phrenatopian actually mean? Or I don't know if you
well, it was kind of an evolution of first I had phrenomythic. It was kind of, you know, because I'm thinking of something with the mind, and of course phrenos means, you know, Greek for mind. So it kind of the speculative science aspect is basically kind of and kind of like a landscape of all kinds of possibilities, a realm of endless possibilities, tempered by the rigor of science. That was kind of my motto. So that's why, like,
has nothing to do with phrenology.
No. But you know, yeah, it has nothing to do with phrenology. But it's yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I got some good ideas. I will try to implement them in the next week and see what I can do to help. And yeah, I encourage everyone to go look at your channels, which are better examples of how to do YouTube right. So I hope that's all good. So any last thoughts? Otherwise, I will say good night to everyone. Good day.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, let me see where's. Uh-oh, I better find where to turn this off. There we go. Slowly coming up.
Great.
Okay, well, thanks for everybody for showing up and making suggestions. And yes, I will be trying to implement some of these things, and we'll see if it makes a difference. Although I feel like as a scientist, what I ought to do is controlled experiments where I just do one thing at a time, like do everything exactly the same, but turn on Google ads. And then be horrified if the traffic goes up, because but no, I will probably just
sell your soul. Sell your soul,
yes.
PZ, buyers to the corporate elites.
My soul is really cheap because it's not worth much, but okay. All right, so end of stream. I'm clicking on this.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
your help.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.
End stream. There we go. All right.
Nestling, I know how we were talking about